Today, I'm excited to introduce a new concept that I personally have been working on and have been working with my clients on. And I'm calling it the 7-second rule. And it's making me giggle a little bit because I'm thinking about, is it the 5-second rule that we basically kind of brush off, especially with kids when they drop food on the floor and we're like, 5-second rule, it's fine. So this is not that. Today's 7-second rule is actually going to be a 2-part series. I'm really excited for this series. And we're going to talk about today how to handle rejection without spiraling. That rejection could be rejection from a donor. That rejection could be rejection in the form of maybe you were asking a potential sponsor, a potential social street teamer, an ambassador, a peer fundraiser. It is anything rooted in you feel like you got ghosted or you heard a no. And we're going to talk about how the 7-second rule can actually be your go-to when no feels like a personal attack. Okay, so let's dig in. Most fundraisers think a donor's no means something about them, means something about their skills, means something about their value, means something about their mission, means something about their cause, and the worst of the worst means something about their worth as a person. So if somebody doesn't reply, if somebody doesn't give, if somebody unsubscribes, it's actually has nothing to do first with your intrinsic worth, the importance of your cause. It, in fact, is a signal that you're doing the work. It is a signal you're showing up. It is a signal that you are in the normal rhythm of growing your organization. And that is like foundation point number 1. We think a no, a ghosting, I'm going to help and then they never did, right? All of those things mean something something's going wrong, right? You're doing something wrong. You should be a better fundraiser. You should be a better storyteller. You should be a better major gift officer, right? But that rejection isn't proof you're unqualified. It's proof you're showing up. It's proof you're in the arena, as Brene Brown says. Okay. So let's dig into why it feels so terrible. Okay. Why does it feel so terrible? It feels so terrible because this is how we're hardwired as humans. This is like a nervous system response. Our body doesn't know the difference between a no from a donor in a conversation and a saber-toothed tiger, right? Our body is like distress, right? Danger, run. And then it tries to protect you. What it does when it tries to protect you is it says, retreat, get out of there. Don't book another donor meeting. Don't call another sponsor. For God's sakes, don't follow up with those donors you already have. Don't upgrade the donor. Be thankful for what you've got. You feel that? It's very much your body, your nervous system saying, keep it safe, keep it status quo, keep it rinse and repeat. And that thought process, you know what that keeps? Your revenue stuck. So let's dig into the science of it. Like, what is actually happening? So the amygdala is hijacking everything. The amygdala is kicking in. That's the emotional part of your brain that is overriding the logical part. That's the part of your brain that is like tiger, danger, bad, never call anyone again, right? Negativity bias. That is another thing that is kicking in here. Now, to the point of way back when, in the caveman days, right? We were wired to, conserve energy. We were wired to make sure that we had what we needed to survive, wired for survival. And that meant that our brains were literally scanning for danger, scanning for threats. Well, that means that our brains are hardwired for negativity bias. So one ignored email could look like a day of spiraling. One unsubscribe could look like this is the end of the world to your brain. That social rejection actually does light up in the same parts of the brain as physical pain. That's wild, right? That emotional rejection can feel awful. And no wonder it feels like a no can be a punch in the gut, even if it's 10 other things went right. And let's just like drill into that for a second. How many times have you personally actually had a pretty amazing day? You see donations come in. Maybe you're working on an event. You've sold a bunch of tickets to the event. Maybe your board who said they were going to help actually is helping. And then you get an email, you get a phone call, you get like a snarky person replying to your email campaign that's like, you email too much. Or you get a donor who's like, no, right? Or no, somebody cancels a meeting on you, like whatever it is. And suddenly that stack of good things, that stack of wins, that stack of actual progress towards your big goal doesn't matter, right? Because your brain is like negative bias city. Your brain is in that spiral pattern. So let's dig into the actual problem that I see. The problem actually isn't the no. The problem isn't the person who was super snarky and said, "You write too many emails." Why am I bringing up that example? Because y'all, I have been on the receiving end of that email so many times. There's one person in thousands of people who is like, "I'm going to have a strong negative opinion and I'm going to tell you, Christina," right? As if they need to vent, as if they want to change my mind. And the only thing that happens there is a choice on my end. I can choose to be like, man, Marge is right. Maybe I do email too much. Marge is right. Maybe this is all, maybe I should quit. Marge is right. This is a bad idea. Or I can be like, I think Marge is having a day. I think Marge got cut off in traffic and took it out on my email. I think Marge isn't my ideal person to help and support. All of those things. I'm like, bless it and get on. That's what I do. That's the kind of self-talk that I do in those moments so that I don't spiral out. But I want to offer, like, I've been there a million times where I'm like, it feels so heavy. It feels so hard. And you may even be thinking, but Christina, this isn't an unsubscribe. This is, a big donor that basically said, I thought I was going to meet them on Friday. Now they don't want to meet for 6 months. Right. Or now I've been ghosted on this pipeline of this potential sponsor. Right. It can feel, and logistically, revenue wise, be bigger. And this same thing is happening. This same spiral is happening. So when you have one big donor say or act in a negative way, it's a fork in the road on how you want to respond to that. Like inner, how you want to respond to it, and outer, what you want to say. So the real issue isn't the no. It's actually the first 7 seconds when the emotion is at a peak, and logic is on vacation. Logic is not there. Your logical brain out the door. Those first 7 seconds, your inner critic says, I suck. This is a bad idea. I'm not cut out for this. Why should I even try? I better hold it. I better pause. I better, do a little bit less. I better not rock the boat. And if you believe that those thoughts, it shapes what you do next or what you don't do next, right? And that will keep your organization stuck at a standstill. It will keep your revenue plateaued. We will even see dips, declines in revenue. We will see increase in stress, increase in burnout, simply because those first 7 seconds of how you handle that no. So let's dig into what to do instead. So the 7-second rule is all about not letting a single moment or single initial reaction define your whole identity and then completely take over your action plan. It's the practice of pausing, interrupting the spiral, coaching yourself through the initial sting of rejection. That's it. You don't make decisions in those 7 seconds. You don't rewrite your story. You observe the feeling and you see it. Like you suddenly click in. Oh, that's my inner critic. That's not fact. It's not that my cause sucks. It's not that my donor relation strategy is terrible. It's not that I'm a horrible fundraiser, marketer, or storyteller. I'm just feeling the sting of rejection in this first 7 seconds. Oh, that's what this is. That's what that looks like. So you observe that feeling and then you choose on purpose your next thought. Now, spoiler alert. Do you remember how this podcast is called the Purpose and Profit Club? This is part of that. We think thoughts on purpose, with purpose. This one skill will change your life. This one skill will change how much money you raise this month, this year, period. So you're observing that feeling, then what? So let's drill into some actual examples that I've seen with my clients and maybe even myself. What does this look like? Maybe you sent a heartfelt donor email, heard nothing back. A board member doesn't respond to your Slack message. A grant you thought for sure, you're like, Christina, this was the grant we were going to get, gets denied. A post you worked so hard on, your comms person was so excited about, barely gets any traction. It's still your Aunt Linda and like 2 other people that are giving it a like. And you're like, come on. A donor you stewarded 4 months gives to a different organization. or shares a content and becomes an ambassador for another organization. A corporate partner says, we're going to go in a different direction. Those all, like, even as I say it, I'm like, yeah, those all sting. Like, we can level set there. None of that feels good, right? This feels like maybe shame, doubt, rejection, imposter syndrome, retreat, a lot of, you know what? I think I'll just do some admin today, right? I'm not going to pick up the phone. I'm not going to call anyone. I'm just going to do admin. But what this can be when you deploy the 7-second rule is simply a moment to pause, a checkpoint for your mindset, a reframe. This is a data point, not a definition. And if you're thinking, listen, shouldn't I take it seriously when a donor gives to another organization, when a prospect says no, when these negative things happen? Yes, you should. They are data points. Yes, you can. However, there is a difference between taking it personally versus taking it seriously. And maybe you're like, Christina, what if I keep getting no's? Are you just saying, just get out there and it's just going to be rejection city and that's just the name of the game? No, not quite. You still want to go through this process and you will adjust the message. The no is data. If I built my business without this concept, without these tools, I would have quit like 15 years ago. Can you imagine how many no's I've heard? Like thousands, millions? I don't know. I've had so many people say no, say maybe, say ghost me, all of the above. And they started to be data. Oh, where can I get a little clearer here? Where can my timing, my frequency, where can I make some adjustments here? And the first thing that I had to do there was separate me, myself, my identity from my offer, my program, right? And it's the same for you. You are not your campaign. You are not your program. You are not your service. You are you. And then you have this thing over here that you're fundraising towards, right? And so the no is simply data. And when you blow past this and when you go into a thought spiral, when you go into a rejection spiral, you miss the juicy data. And then you repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. And if you're thinking, okay, but what if the silence means people don't like what I'm doing, right? What if the ghosting means it's something bad, right? The silence doesn't actually mean they don't like what you're doing. It could mean they're busy. It could mean they're disconnected. It could mean, this is a big one, they're not yet convinced. That is a solvable strategy issue, not a character flaw. So meaning, and this is so true. I've seen this could be a trend episode that I can dig into for a future one. That silence, that inaction from your donor or prospect, from your follower, from your subscriber, where you're like, here they are reading my emails, but they're not doing anything. Many times, that's just a conversion issue. That's just a frequency issue. That's just a little messaging issue. That has nothing to do with you being, air quotes, bad at it all. It's like, you might have just needed a little more urgency. You might have needed one more email. You might have just needed a little bit of text or a phone call, right? There are so many strategies we can deploy and support you to do that take you from like close to your goal to exceeding your goal. But when you are at that point, that tipping point, and you're telling yourself, this isn't working, it's so bad, I'm so bad at this, you never see it. You never see those other strategies that were right there. They were like within reach, so close. I've worked with clients who've sent dozens of asks before the first yes. I've worked with clients who are doing $3, $4, $5 million a year. And you know what? This still happens. It's not like you get to this other place and suddenly donors are like, yes, right? It never goes away. And so what should go away and what does go away for CEOs, for executive directors who are leading large scale organizations is this: how they talk to themselves when it doesn't go how they planned, when it doesn't go how they wished, when it doesn't go how they hoped and anticipated. That's it. That's it. I call it sometimes a soft place to land, right? So that's where you want to build in this ability to drop in 7 seconds. Ooh, what's my 7 seconds? That immediate awareness is how you can right side this. The difference isn't who's better. The difference here is who sticks with it. It's who stays in motion after those 7 seconds, after that very habitual amygdala, negative bias brain kicks in, right? This is what we do. This is part of the skill we build inside my programs, the Purpose and Profit Club, and inside my other program, the Sprint Method. This is core foundational skill, because fundraising does take strategy, but it also takes emotional stamina. So let's talk about how you can build your own muscle, your own 7-second muscle. Here's what I would try this week for a little bit of self-coaching. After your next no moment of silence, ask, what else could this mean? What else could this mean? What would I say to a teammate at this moment? What would I say if this happened to a friend, a staffer, a colleague, an intern? What's the next brave thing I can do? That one right there is a power question. That one right there will make you a lot of money. What is the next brave thing I can do here? Imagine that. You're hit with a plate of no, rejection, doesn't go well. What's the next brave thing I can do here? I'm thinking about one of my clients who is hosting a big event at the time I'm recording this. And I have absolutely watched her ask herself, come get coached inside my program and say, okay, we're a little behind where I thought we would be. We're a little behind our target. And do you know what she did? She sped up instead of slowing down. And we layered in. I'm like, ooh, let's layer in this urgency right here. Let's add this avenue right here to mobilize some street teamers. Let's bring in some folks this way, like different arms of it. The only way I was able to coach her through that is because she was in brave mode, not resigned mode. And here's one last way you could use that 7-second rule here. You could actually kind of use it as a mirror back, where your knee-jerk response would be very doom and gloom, very negative bias. And you're going to ask yourself, this is a riff off of that. What else could this mean here? So for example, if you said to me, Sally said that she wanted to have coffee. She's one of my very important donors, and I haven't heard from her. She said she was going to message me in May, and I haven't heard from her. And I reached out, and that means that she hates me and no longer wants to give to our organization. Right? See what I did there? Okay. What else? Let's just ideate. Let's just mirror that back. What else could it possibly mean for Sally? And I'm going to give you the number one thing it could mean. Sally didn't get your email. Sally's busy. Sally's got something going on with a loved one. Sally forgot. Sally's been on vacation. There's a million other things, but we go right to the heart of it, right? And that loop will keep you stuck. So instead, you want to just go, what else is true here? And here's what I like to tell myself, the answer. And until she says it from her mouth, I don't know the answer. And so I'm not going to sit here and guess and ruminate why she no longer cares about our organization, because that's not true as much as it is Sally's going to give us $1 million. Like, both things are true, right? We have no proof of either. And so instead, I'm going to get into brave action mode. If I was in brave action mode, what would I do? And usually the answer there is, I just pick up the phone and call Sally. Leave Sally a message if she didn't answer, and send a follow-up email. I'd write her a quick note, right? Suddenly you're in this CEO energy, and that CEO energy gets you out of this loop. Okay. So try it this week, and try it in a micro moment. Try it in a moment when it's not so make or break feeling. But catch yourself where you're like in the thought spiral, in the negativity bias, and go, oh, 7-second rule, 7-second rule. What do I want to do here instead? Acknowledge what's coming up. You want to listen to that part of your brain that's like, bah, 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 right? You're like, okay, brain, I hear you. Noted. There's a part of me that feels like this is a dumpster fire. Nothing's working. And there's another part of me that's like, we got people to help. I got a community to serve. I have an impact to make. And I can't do that if I'm listening to this chirpy little parrot part of me. So I really like to step into my CEO persona, and that works really well for my clients. Sometimes we'll even talk about like that CEO energy and maybe somebody you admire. So you're like, I'm going to channel my inner Oprah in this moment. I'm going to channel my inner Beyonce in this moment. Like, whoever your person is, your spirit animal, right? Stepping into that can also be helpful here of like, oh, what would they do? Okay, they would not have any time for this. They'd pick up the phone and call Sally and go, Sally, hi, how are you? That's the energy. That's the energy of progress. That's the energy of success. That's the energy that that you can deploy in this 7-second rule. Okay, I will see you in the next one. The next one, we're talking about the 7-minute rule, and this is a bigger one. So we'll see you in next week's episode. In the meantime, you are always welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. If you are ready to raise 5 figures or more in every online fundraiser, then I want to invite you to join my foundational program, the Sprint Method. And if you are ready for more advanced support, you want to layer in strategies to really get your fundraising MBA, then I highly recommend booking a call to join the Purpose and Profit Club, my group coaching program. I'll see you in the next one.